Hey, and welcome to Exam Physics. So, when you hear the names for Isaac Newton, your mind probably jumps straight to, the apple, gravity, the guy who basically wrote the instruction manual for the universe. But what if I told you he spent the entire second half of his career as a hard-nosed detective hunting England's most wanted? Yeah, you heard that right. We're going to dive into the two sides of Isaac Newton. Over here, you've got the physicist we all learned about in school. But on the other side, well, you've got a legit crime fighter. We're talking undercover stings, a network of informants, intense interrogations, and even early forensic science. This is the wild story of how Newton, as the new warden of the Royal Mint, declared all-out war on the criminal underworld. To really get what was going on, you have to picture London in the late 1600s. The entire kingdom was on the brink of collapse, not because of a war or a plague, but because of its money. The very coins that powered the economy were being systematically attacked and destroyed from the inside out. The crime itself was called clipping, and honestly, it was genius in its simplicity. See, back then, coins were made of actual silver and gold, but they were hammered out by hand, so their edges were all irregular. Criminals would just take shears and shave off these tiny little slivers of precious metal. Then they'd spend the lighter coin like it was still worth its full value and melt down all the shavings to sell as bullion or even make brand new fake coins. And this wasn't just a small-time problem. It was huge. By the time Newton took the job, a huge number of coins circulating in England had lost nearly half their weight. Just let that sink in. This was way beyond petty theft. This was economic treason on a massive scale, and it was threatening to bring the whole country to a grinding halt. So what's a world-famous physicist supposed to do when faced with this kind of chaos? Well, he doesn't walk away from science. He weaponizes it. Newton looked at London's criminal network like it was a giant physics problem, a complex system that he could observe, analyze, and then piece by piece dismantle using pure logic. His first attack was a feat of engineering. As part of this massive project called the Great Recoinage, he completely replaced the old janky hammered coins with new, perfectly circular machine-made ones. Then he added two brilliant security features. First, those ridges on the edge that we still see today, that's called reading. And second, for larger coins, he actually had text inscribed on that third side. Now, if anyone tried to shave the edge, it would be instantly obvious. The coin was tamper-proof. And get this, he even put a little message right there on the coin's edge. It often read, Decus et tutamen, which is Latin for an ornament and a safeguard. How cool is that? It looked good, sure, but it was really a warning to any would-be clipper. This coin is protected by science. Don't even try it. But Newton didn't stop at just re-engineering the money. Oh no. He became a detective. He went out into the bars and slums of London, sometimes in disguise, to gather information. He personally conducted over 600 interrogations, meticulously documenting everything in what he called his deposition books. He treated criminal testimonies like they were lab data, constantly cross-referencing stories to find holes and map out the entire criminal ecosystem. He also brought his lab skills into the fight. Newton happened to be an expert in metallurgy, the science of metals. He would actually perform chemical analysis on seized counterfeit coins. By looking at their specific metallic makeup, he could sometimes literally trace a bad coin all the way back to the specific illegal workshop that made it. This was forensics, hundreds of years before CSI. Of course, every great detective needs an arch nemesis, right? A Moriarty to their Sherlock Holmes. Newton's was a man named William Challoner, and this guy, he was something else. A brilliant, charismatic, and ridiculously successful counterfeiter who had made a fortune and was not shy about showing it off. He wasn't just a crook, he was a master of the game. To give you a taste of his sheer nerve, Challoner actually went before Parliament and publicly accused the Royal Mint, Newton's new workplace, of being incompetent. He then proposed that they should hire him to fix all their security problems, all while he was secretly one of the biggest counterfeiters in the entire country. The audacity was just, wow. For Newton, this was a personal insult. It was chaos thumbing its nose at order. And that's when it became a showdown. For the next 2 years, Newton became absolutely obsessed with bringing Challoner down. It was this incredible cat-and-mouse game. Challoner would use his money and connections to escape justice, and Newton would just relentlessly, logically, close every single escape route. Newton finally got him by using Challoner's own network against him. He leaned on his informants and methodically flipped Challoner's partners, getting them to testify against their boss. But the final nail in the coffin, the smoking gun, was when Newton's agents found the actual dies, the hardened steel stamps Challoner used to make his fake coins. With the tools of the crime in hand, the case was completely airtight.
So there he is, locked away in prison, and a desperate Challoner starts writing these frantic letters directly to Newton. He tries everything. He tries bribery, he tries to frame other people, and finally he just begs for his life, appealing to Newton as a man of mercy, and claiming his execution would be nothing less than murder.
And what was Newton's response? Nothing. Absolute silence. He ignored every single letter. You see, for Newton, this wasn't about revenge or even mercy. Challoner was a bug in the system. He was a source of chaos and friction in what should be an orderly, predictable machine. And in Newton's world, you don't bargain with chaos. You eliminate it. Challoner was convicted of high treason and hanged.
So what's the big takeaway from this wild 300-year-old story? Well, believe it or not, you've probably got a piece of it in your pocket right now. Newton's innovations, his war on financial crime, didn't just fade away into the history books. Which, when you think about it, raises a pretty interesting question. I mean, we don't really use silver and gold in our everyday coins anymore, so clipping isn't really a thing. So why on earth do our quarters and dimes still have the ridges that Newton invented?
Well, it boils down to two main reasons. First, and this is really cool, it's for accessibility. Those ridges help visually impaired people tell the difference between coins just by touch. And second, it's just tradition. We've grown so accustomed to the idea that a coin should have that textured, secure feel that mints around the world have just kept Newton's design going for centuries.
Honestly, the story of Newton the crime fighter is just such a perfect example of how a scientific mind can tackle problems far, far away from a blackboard or a laboratory. If you thought this was as cool as I did, definitely make sure you're subscribed to Exam Physics for more stories you didn't hear in science class. And I'll leave you with this one last thing to chew on. If a mind like Newton's, a mind with that intense passion for order and that genius for seeing hidden systems, if that mind were alive today, what modern system of chaos do you think it would become obsessed with solving? The stock market? The spread of online misinformation? Let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks so much for watching.